about maybe a block over, just from the corner from where this all happened, and one of the managers or law enforcement, they told him that they needed to be in place, and he looked outside from, I think, the 30th floor, he recalled, and he saw the danger inside. But as AP has reported, at least 2 people, including New York police officers, were shot on Monday in Midtown office building that houses some of the country's top financial firms and National Football League. That includes the National Football League, and police haven't immediately identified any victims, but we spoke with one of the witnesses here who says he saw some of those victims that were in a black BMW. I believe Skyfox had some shots of that actual car, but he said he saw they didn't appear to be alive at the time when he saw after this shooting. He said about maybe early, once the shooting happened, he heard saw about 5 officers, and then from there, this is the scene you have. Dozens, I mean, you maybe even say hundreds are out here lining Park Avenue. And this is with a bunch of businesses, banks, firms, and like I said, including the NFL. And we spoke to some of those witnesses who just really honestly couldn't believe what they saw here, being this close to Park Avenue, here in Midtown, busy side of New York, police presence in this area, unlike anything they've ever seen before, Natasha.
Yeah, Kendall, I just can't get over that picture that we're showing of that suspect. He just seems to be walking with such purpose, striding, and he looked like he was wearing a business suit with sunglasses, just walking into this very busy area. Look at that. And you can see the AR-15. It's just unbelievable, all those people around him, too. You know, what's your take? What's the, I guess, are there still people out there just in shock?
Yeah, I'll show you. We want to show you some of the folks. If you look in this area, you can see folks are lining this sidewalk where police have moved us back, and some of them have been looking at pictures of that suspect, and they've been standing here just basically in awe, like in shock of what they saw. This is an AR-15, as you described, walking into a building like that. So, of course, you know, there's a lot of shock here, a lot of worry, because it's unlike anything.
All right, we're going to listen to see if we can listen to some radio chatter, see what's going on, see if we can get that to play through. So there's an ad. We'll keep listening to this.
Vehicle that police are searching.
Yeah.
All right.
Frank, you on? You good?
This is NYPD Citywide 1 Radio.
Frank, you go. You good?
All right, looks like everything's kind of like done at this point. Crazy.
All with that shooting so far.
Yeah, it's really interesting because people were hearing the gunshots and bank robbery, and again.
All right, so check this out. I can't go into too much detail, but I know who the officer is. I don't know him personally. I just know his identity. Who has been injured? That officer was working what is called a paid detail.
I'm out at stairwell Z with the 15 bodies.
Okay. There's radio traffic right now inside of the Blackstone building. See if we get some probative. This is public information here. If you know how to find this, you can find it. I'm not in any way giving any inside information, okay? Just got to say that for my own protection.
Frank, you on the air, Frank?
So he just said 15 bodies. 15 bodies, he said. 15 bodies. We heard the officer on the radio say he's in the stairwell with 15 bodies. That's what we just heard. So the officer that was injured was doing what's called a paid detail, which is like a department, a NYPD authorized side job where you're working as like a uniformed police officer providing protection to a store or to a building or something like that. And the only other information that I'm willing to give out is that this was a relatively new officer. This was not an experienced officer. This was a relatively new officer, which is so sad because somebody just starts out being a police officer and something tragic like this happens. The suspect has been neutralized by the NYPD's emergency response team, which is one of the most highly trained tactical units in the country. They have all the toys, all the training, all the bells, all the whistles. If you think that those down south sheriff guys are cool, you never seen these guys in action. We're listening to live radio traffic right now. Live radio traffic. Trying to see if we get something probative. All right, let's go over here.
Aviation was in TAC 1 on the issue frequency, K. You're on TAC 1? Affirmative, K. Yes, this is TAC 1. Look, never mind, this way.
All right, so they went on TAC 1, so they're going off of that. Let's see if we can find if TAC 1 is available. See if TAC 1.
Essential. CRC, proceed, K. Can you ascertain where they would like us to hold on to the 18 civilians that we walked down with Daryl Z? We're on the corner of 52 and Park right now.
Right now. Seems that they're evacuating people still. Let's see what we got going on here. All right. So I want to see if we can go backwards. Hold on.
Talk to me. You work here in this area, right?
I live in the area,
okay.
So I was shopping.
You're looking at that picture of the individual with that AR-15, that weapon to that area. What goes through your mind?
Well, first it's super scary. Like, I just landed on a plane this morning on a trip to South America, and this wasn't my fear while I was out there. So seeing something like this so casual, like I don't know, it gave me a very eerie feeling. It's just, it sucks.
And we do know that there are casualties here associated with this. Any reaction with this being such a busy stretch here in Midtown?
Yeah, it's literally the middle of the day, and I was walking, and I was seeing a whole bunch of people just casually walking, and all of the police cars and the firefighters and the helicopters going that way, and I'm looking around, I'm like, everybody's normal, but something, as a New Yorker, I'm like, something is definitely going on. So we walked over here, and to hear that that's something that's happening broad daylight, and as I'm looking up the news to find what's going on, I'm seeing all the other shootings that have happened today or yesterday or this week, and I've been gone, so I've been gone for a while, and I didn't realize that's what was going on, and it's very scary, very unfortunate.
You got to be unnerving. I appreciate you making some time for us. Yeah, so, I mean, we've been still seeing folks coming out. It seems like they're coming out slowly, not just, they're coming out in drips, basically. A lot of folks are coming out of this building, and I'm assuming it's the same thing for other buildings that are close here in this area. But yeah, that was a reaction to an AR-15 being carried in.
So I'm working on getting you guys the radio traffic prior to the shooter being neutralized, so you could kind of hear the chaos that ensued.
Just a scary situation. Yeah, sure. Really, just as she said, it truly gives you an eerie feeling of that suspect just walking leisurely with an AR-15 into this very busy building. Kendall, you did talk to someone who was just 2 blocks away from where this active shooter situation was going down, and he talked about being evacuated 30 to 45 minutes. Tell us a little bit about what he said.
Yeah, he said he initially heard that there was an active shooter. A witness, they told him and warned him that was going on. And a couple of minutes later, they were having to shelter in place. And he says he was not too far from an area of danger, as he described it, where, I mean, I guess if there were to be an issue with how bullets flying somewhere close to him. He didn't want to be hit. He didn't want to be struck. And they told him to stay in place, stay safe, and he did just that. But of course, out of just pure, he was worried about what was happening, telling me he was kind of frantic. And it caught him off guard. Of course, as everybody here out here.
Yeah, this happening.
All right, so let's listen to this real quick.
Middle of
This is allegedly when this happened.
We did see that witness when he talked to you, Kendall. He was still in his suit, backpack on. People, it's a very transient area. There's a big subway station there, a lot of food, restaurants. The woman you talked to was shopping. So this is a very busy area of Midtown Manhattan, 52nd and Park. And for a shooting like this to happen, it's scary.
Yeah, not just workers, not just residents.
What for?
Receiving an unconfirmed signal. Shots fired. Active shooter.
Here we go.
345 Park Avenue. East
Here we go.
52.
Ooh, we're gonna get you that audio. We'll put that on the Patreon. And I'm gonna get the local precinct too. The Central just said unconfirmed shots fired. Everything is about to get crazy soon.
Receiving an active shooter in the Midtown North at Park Avenue and East 51. An unconfirmed shots fired, 345 Park Avenue, East 51, East 52. Mail caller state shots fired inside. Units, be advised, this is Blackstone headquarters. 345 Park Avenue, approximately 100 people hiding.
Jeez, 100 people hiding.
We're getting a whole lot. One nail shot. We don't know if it's confirmed yet, but we're getting a report of multiple calls from this location.
What?
345 Park Avenue, East 51 to East 52. Blackstone headquarters.
SRG Operations Central.
SRG Operations.
So how does the Cobra team respond to that location?
Cobra team on the air, Kay. Cobra team on the air.
Find me the job, Central.
The 5? 10-5 dispatch. Cobra Sergeant, proceed.
You raising, Central?
Affirmative. They advise SRG Operations set to respond in regards to it's an active shooter. We're getting multiple calls from 345 Park Avenue, East 51 to East 52. State male is wearing a black suit and a bulletproof vest. State 100 people. They heard 4 rounds. Possibly 1 male shot at this time. We'll advise on additional. Cobra team, copy.
10-4. Sergeant, can you show me going as well?
Y'all cutting each other off. Who just came over?
1 Sergeant responding.
10-4.
You got a few birds on it, Central. Show me 84.
Damn. Fuck.
1 Adam, show me around.
Damn. Motherfucker.
10-4 units. 10-4.
Fuck.
First unit on scene, advise 84.
One cop is dead, man.
Going.
One cop is dead.
To the Midtown North. Units, I will advise advise on additional, and as you're coming over the air, please make sure you're coming over clearly, because everybody's coming over statically.
I got the picture of the freaking shooter, man.
Yeah,
I'm gonna bring it over and put it up on the live.
That's a 10.
2 cops? Just one so far. One cop is gone. I'm gonna get the shooter's picture up on the screen. I don't know. Somebody said is this an affluent area? It is. It is the seat of American.
Confirm mail shot, corner 513 Park Avenue. Rush the bus, mail shot. Show me making entry to 345 Park Avenue Central.
This is the seat of American financial power.
Where's the mail shot at? Is it at 345 or 545?
345 Park Avenue.
He's on 345 Parkins. He's on the corner. 10-4. Buses in. Be advised, they already rushed him. 10-4, take 10.
Mail shooting, state has an assault rifle, Central. As per the victim, state has an assault rifle. Be advised.
And who's putting this over?
CRC third charge. Your third. Heavy weapons 3 sergeant, Central.
That's a 10-4, K.
Damn.
I got multiple units.
That's a 10-4, K. They gonna come.
Charging heavy weapons 1 lane.
10-4. 10-4 CRC, Sergeant. 10-4.
10-5 the location, Central.
345 Park Avenue, East 51 to East 52.
That's where you want to talk. Do they have the staging area set up yet?
We don't have anything further. I'm trying to ascertain if ESU is 84 to what's going on. If you call in the staging area, please advise me the location.
CRC third sergeant.
CRC Third Sergeant, go ahead.
Well, they got some heavy weapons teams over here, Central.
They want the heavy weapons?
SRG operations to have all SRG units, SRGs 1 through 5, respond to our location. Forthwith.
That's a 10-4, 1835 hours. All SRGs are to respond to 345 Park Avenue, Authority of SRG operations forthwith.
CRC K941, what's that location?
345 Park Avenue, East 51 to East 52. Cobra Sergeant, go.
Can you advise how many units have made entry?
So units have made entry.
CRC Lieutenant, show me 84, describe the person. CRC third sergeant, Central. Show me clearance. Show me from the basement, 345 Park Avenue, Central.
Okay, give me a minute, K. Let me get the description out of the mail, K.
Central, does anyone have eyes on the perp?
We got eyes on a perp. Somebody said they don't know how police keep up with who's saying what. It's called getting a radio air. You develop a radio air.
I'm trying to ascertain it, K. It's multiple jobs. One sergeant.
Show me setting up this area at 53 in Park.
SRG Sergeant, that's where the staging area is going to be?
This is politically motivated. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's politically motivated.
That's that staging area?
Hold on, give me one second. What's the staging area? SRG 1 Sergeant.
53rd and Park.
53rd and Park, K. 53rd and Park.
Can you verify that location?
The staging area is Park Avenue and East 53rd Street.
Cobra Sergeant 84.
That's a 10.
Looking for a suspect?
Unit with a message.
The operations center, what is the staging area again?
East 53rd Street and Park Avenue. East 53 and Park. The suspect thing?
All right, I want to also get the local precincts radio traffic.
Last script, please. Central, can anyone confirm if we have a practice script?
Give me one.
On location.
Unit.
CRC Third Sergeant Central.
CRC Third Sergeant, proceed.
Central, show me at a 345 Park on the Lexington side. Between 5
That's
and
the 10th.
2 Street. We're holding attention. We got this perimeter set up on this side. Central, be advised. Can I confirm the location?
East 53 and Park. Units be advised, authority of Manhattan South XO calling a level 3 mobilization. The point is in regards to a MOS down, male shot, active shooter. This is confirmed.
Wow, the location, Central?
345 Park Avenue, East 51 to East 52, but be advised, K, the staging area, authority of the sergeant, is East 53 and Park Avenue. East 53 and Park Avenue.
This
okay?
dude was a
Cobra Sergeant, made it.
Cobra Sergeant, proceed.
This dude's name is Shane D. Tamura. Shane Tamura. That's the name of the shooter. The name of the shooter is Shane Tamura. You're hearing that first here from Strategic Guys, Shane
All
Tamura.
right, that's an 1841 hours.
That's the name of the shooter.
Cobra Sergeant going in.
Shane Tamura.
We got a script yet? We're talking about made entry in the lobby.
He made entry into the lobby, K. Cobra Sergeant is inside the lobby, he says.
Yes, Central, do we have any purposes, Chris?
A male with a suit on with a bulletproof vest.
Chief to Central.
Only one perp.
What's the location you want EMS 2 for the male down?
Counterterrorism Chief to Central.
Counterterrorism chief.
Make sure we have no plainclothes officers going into that building. No plainclothes officers go into that building.
Right. I'm looking this guy's Facebook up before it gets wiped. Trying to get this before they wipe this thing.
Lieutenant.
There we go. His voting records. Let's get this over here. This is the shooter is Shane D. Tamura. I think I might be the first person to put it out there. This guy's identity. Shane D. Tamura, Nevada voter record. He's from Nevada. He has a concealed permit from Nevada.
SRG operations copy.
Let's see
No
who he
plainclothes
voted for.
officers are to respond into the building. That's ICAS copy 343. 10 for SRG opera.
Nonpartisan party.
SRGCO.
He's registered to vote in Clark.
Tell me responding to essential.
So he's kind of like an independent, it looks like. So
Units be advised they want all SRGs to respond to East 52 and Park Avenue.
looks like he's an independent of some sort. I'm just pulling. I mean, I'm not trying to make this political. I'm just trying to pull whatever I can find on the guy. You getting exclusive from me? Exclusive from me, baby. The grapevine is already talking. The news just didn't catch up with the grapevine.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did, CO. As of 1843 hours, I advised them no plainclothes officers are to respond into the building.
Heavy weapon sergeant.
Heavy weapon sergeant, proceed.
Keep the radio to the minimum, please.
10-5.
AC air clear, Central.
10.
State Police Portable, Central.
1843 Central is off the air. Authority.
Well, we're going to have units on scene. Heavy weapons teams in green, do advise.
Okay, but Central cannot transmit over the air.
Cobra's on 4-4. Cobra and ESU on the 44th floor.
Yo, the Cobra team is like the heavy weapons team. Like they're like the tactical guys that are like going for mass shooters and stuff like that.
Any description of the shooter at this time?
I'm sorry I can't like interact with the chat. I'm over here, you know, trying to get this information. I don't know the officer that has passed. I do not know him. I do not know the officer that has passed. I can't tell you that he is. I know his name, but I'm not going to say his name. I'm not going to release that. I can just tell you that he's new. He's a new officer, relatively new officer. Oh, let's go to the mayor. I'll keep researching this while we get the mayor statement on this.
Us as well, but for him to walk in.
See if we could get like the mayor's statement on this.
On the ground floor of that building, if I recall correctly.
All it is, this guy makes his egress into the building, as we see in the photograph, you know, at full stride with the rifle down low.
You got to send me that link. Somebody said the mayor's talking. I think it was Erica B, but I don't have the link. I can't find it. So send me the link.
This is an AR-15 variant, you know, 30-round magazine. Looks like some kind of a muzzle flash wrapped in tape or suppressor maybe. He's got a sling for it. He could sling it over his shoulder.
Heavy weapons team 1 CRT.
It looks to me that the blue jacket he's wearing, maybe in his right pocket, he's got a...
All right, I want to hear this radio traffic. I mean, you guys can listen to the news anywhere. Like, they're just going to keep saying the same thing over and over. I want to hear what actually happened.
Tim and Teak, where are you located?
And we're hearing that through the radio traffic.
Tim and Teak, where are you located?
Units, switch to your tactical phase. This air is silent. Give us the purpose of Middle Eastern male, wearing all tan.
They said he's Middle Eastern, but he doesn't look Middle Eastern to me. He looks like an African American male.
32nd floor. The perp description is a Middle Eastern male, wearing all tan.
That's, you know, in the trauma of all that, that's probably what they got out of it. But this guy is definitely an African American male.
Central, last known location of perpetrator.
32nd.
He looks like he's mixed, like with Polynesian or something like that. I don't know. Maybe he's not African American. He looks different.
I will advise.
CO Bomb Squad Central.
All units got to come over SOD. But proceed bomb squad.
Stand by the staging area for
East 53 and Park Avenue.
Stand for SRG.
Been doing it for years.
Philippe, how difficult is it, though, to hear the news that you lost one of your brothers and then continue to have to concentrate on the task at hand to secure evidence, to ensure safety, and to make sure that no stone goes unturned?
It's difficult because, you still have that in the back of your mind. You still have to secure.
All right, guys, you're hearing it here. The shooter is Shane Tamura. That's the name of the shooter, Shane Tamura. Okay, that's going to come out in the news eventually. You're hearing it here first on True Crime Strategic. The name of the shooter is Shane Tamura. He has a pistols license from Nevada, a concealed carry permit from Nevada that is floating around the grapevine.
This crime scene, you still have to do a lot of different things. There's a lot that goes on with securing such a massive crime scene. You got to make sure you get every little bit of evidence because you never know. What if there was someone out there who's actually assisting this individual? You want him brought to justice. Where did he get this gun from? That's going to be another situation where we have to call in ATF, do a gun trace. And that becomes the cornerstone sometimes for the investigation of how we trace these firearms and how we actually arrest additional individuals.
And how frightening is it the way you describe the power of those rounds that come out of that weapon? How even if perhaps you have a big vest on at close range, there may be no stopping it. And we know at least one officer tonight lost his life tragically. Felipe Rodriguez, thank you so much for all in Manhattan. And
so basically he's Japanese and black. That's what I'm getting. I'm getting this guy as Japanese and black.
Saw the photo of the suspect with a long gun, and we can only imagine what was going through the minds of the people who saw him walk right by.
Yeah, you got to think this is after work. This is dinner time. People expecting to just, a regular Monday evening, getting home to their family or spending time with friends and loved ones, and then on lockdown. We moved again since the last time we talked. Right now we're on 54th and Lex, and we're here because this is the area. I remember Christine had asked me in the last hour if we were able to talk with people. So we came to this side where people that were on lockdown were allowed to go back to wherever, to their homes. And so we were able to talk to several people here within the last half hour or so. Some of them said they were at dinner at a restaurant and they were locked into that building, but they said the NYPD did a good job. They felt safe. They told them do not look out of the window, stay away from the windows. They told them to not look at their phones at the news because they don't know what's being reported. And eventually they were able to be let out and come back here. Ryan's just kind of showing you the scene from where we are right now.
There we go.
Again, still a heavy police presence, even though we have all that confirmed information at this hour. This investigation is far from over. But one.
All right, I had this information for a little while, but I was afraid to post it. I'm not going to lie to you. It's now out there on these YouTube streets, so I'm good on these internet streets. This is his permit here, concealed carry. You guys know I'm in law enforcement. I got a lot of friends, so I didn't want to post this, but it's now out there for everybody to see. So it is what it is. It's out there already. Nobody can say anything. Confidential information. Nope, it's out there. It is out there. So his name is Shane Tamura. He's from Las Vegas. He's 27, an ex-Canadian football player who also possesses a concealed carry out of Nevada. I was listening to Police Scanner, and they read out his plate and verified his name. Boom. That's how this person got it. It is what it is. There you go. There you go. That's how they got it. It was read out on air, public air for everybody here. I'm saying this because you know how it is. Those internal guys, they love looking for new victims. Guess what? It's out there on these streets, okay? Strategic ain't the only one. It's out there on these streets. Boom. This is the guy. This is the shooter, ladies and gentlemen. This is the shooter. All right. His information was read out over public broadcasting airwaves, and people were able to run him and find out who he is. He's from freaking Canada. I said Canada. Okay. Well, at least he's not from Canada, but he used to play in Canadian football. He used to play in Canadian football or something to that effect. We don't know. He's most likely American. He has a concealed carry permit and all that good stuff. All right, so let's keep going. Let's see what else we can find on these YouTube streets. Play this in the background.
One thing I do want to mention, we also talked with one person who says he was inside 345 Park Avenue in the building where this incident took place. He was on the 15th floor. He did not want to be identified. And, you know, he came up to us because he saw us talking to people. He was still shaking. And he asked us, please not to.
All right, so guys, we're going to play some video of this douchebag.
The battle for Granada Hills. Shane, just talk about you guys getting that win tonight. How'd you guys come through?
We definitely had to stay disciplined. We were down 10-0. We definitely had to stay disciplined. Our coach kept saying, don't hold your heads down, don't hold your heads down. We just had to stay disciplined.
Let me see something. Where's Grenada Hills?
Shane, a couple of touchdowns for you, including a huge one late in the game there in the fourth quarter with under 4 minutes to go. That put you guys up 35-24, sort of sealed the game there for you guys, gave you guys a nice cushion. Take us through that play right there, jailbreak screen right there. Then you broke free about the 50-yard line and then took it to the house.
The thing is, Grenada Hills is in Los Angeles. I mean, it doesn't mean that he can't be a Canadian citizen here as a teen and going to an American school, but that's in Los Angeles. That's not in Canada, and this is him being a kid, you know, playing football.
Well, our coach basically asked me, he was like, Shane, is the T-screen open? Is the T-screen open? I was like, yeah, it's definitely open. So we just threw the pass to me, Ernie threw the pass to me, and one thing led to another, and I scored.
Shane, talk about, you mentioned you guys were down 10-0, early hole. You know, things could have got out of control possibly. You know, how did you guys pick yourself up off the floor after that early 10-0 deficit?
Definitely had to stay disciplined. Our coaches kept telling us, don't hold your heads down. It's just the first half, or it's actually just the first quarter. We just had to keep playing, keep fighting through it, and just hold our heads up high, and then a good result.
Okay, so let's keep going, scrolling down, figure out what's going on. Shane Tamura listed on Huddle's graduating 2016. That lines up with 27 years old, listed on public phone book websites at master address, linked to license plate. Hearing NFL headquarters was located in same building as shooting. Could be possible motive, who knows, but very odd. Interesting. Golden Valley High School, juvie, football, Santa Clara, California. 27 years old, lives in Las Vegas, Corner Public Records. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. Manhattan shooter may be Shane Tamura, but authorities have not confirmed his identity. Let's see what kind of car he's driving. He's got a 2011 BMW 328i. Okay. This is him walking in a building with the gun. This evildoer shot and killed a New York City police officer. Now another funeral I got to go to. And I guarantee you that this officer is young. He's young as hell. Guarantee you. Unbelievable. He's got body armor on. He's got a suit. He's just open carrying the rifle going in the building. It's unbelievable. Let's keep going. Jesus Christ. What would motivate him to do this? I have no idea, ladies and gentlemen. Shane Tamura's IG already locked, but it looks like he's Hawaiian. Okay. It's already locked down. He's got 529 followers. Follow. Let's see if we can follow him and get access to Oh, the request was sent. They're saying it looks like he's Hawaiian. Let's keep going. Already locked down. Unconfirmed photos of a gun used in the New York City shooting today. Suspect Shane Tamura, gun folks. What we're looking at, we don't want to get into all of that gun politics, but this looks like this is the weapon that he used. Look like an AR platform. It's got a scope, light. It's got everything. Foldable stock. It's highly modified. The blood is on it because they killed him as they should. Unbelievable. Got blood splatter on all over the thing, man. The barrel, magazine, strap, whole nine. Not confirmed yet who that belongs to. Let's keep going. He's an independent American Party, nonpartisan. This is a picture with him. Pictures in the middle. He's the guy in the middle right here. Yeah, he appears to be Hawaiian, man. I don't think he's African American or even mixed. I think he's just a Hawaiian guy. A black. All right, so of course we got the racist stuff. I don't care about that. But let's keep going. I mean, listen, that's why I call X, aka Twitter, the devil's playground. There's just a lot of ignorance there. A lot of ignorance on that platform, but it's also a place where you can get information. Somebody says expensive gun. Yeah. The things with the ARs is that you could buy them cheap and modify them infinitely. So I wouldn't say it's an expensive gun. I would say that it moderately modified. I mean, let's go back to the firearm. All right, he's got the Picatinny. I can never say Picatinny, whatever, rail on the top. You can add this on, no problem. The flashlight is like $20 off of Amazon. The scope, this, I don't know. This scope could, I don't know the brand of the scope. It could be anywhere from $20 to $150 for the scope. Everything else is foldable stock. Probably came with the rifle when he bought it, to be honest. This is definitely probably like $1,100 AR. Max $1,300. No more than $1,300. This is definitely not an AR that's coming in at $2,000 or $3,000. And you could get ARs for $2,000 and $3,000. But this is the $1,100 AR. This is nothing crazy. If I could zoom in, I can't zoom in, but if I was able to zoom in and see what the brand is here, unfortunately, I have to do that another time. What about David? What do you think, David? David, you think this is an expensive gun? David is a gun guy, more of a gun guy than me. I'm not a super gun guy, but I know my guns. But David is a gun guy. He sleeps with a gun under his pillow. Mm-hmm. Last time I heard, David recently got married. I heard him and his wife didn't exchange vows. They exchanged guns. Let's keep going. So this is him in the middle. Apparently, it's what they're saying. Just keep going. This is people barricading themselves, putting the furniture by the door, trying to protect their lives. We should not live in a world like this, ladies and gentlemen, but yet we do. Yet we do. Yet we do. Just keep going. Trying to get as much preliminary information as we can. Love to know the motivation. Some people are saying that the motivation was related to the NFL. Others are saying it's political because Blackstone is a investment bank. For those of you who are not from New York, this is people talk about Wall Street. Wall Street is where the stock exchange is located. Midtown Manhattan is where all of the investment banks and the bank headquarters are located. So Wall Street you know, you're going to get the stock market. There's, of course, there's a lot of banks down there and investment firms, whatever. But that's like the first hub. But the next hub of financial institutions is in Midtown. And for people who are New Yorkers, there's no primary and secondary. Midtown has just as many massive billion-dollar firms as downtown where Wall Street is at. You can't say that Wall Street is the financial capital of the world. No, Manhattan is the financial capital of the world, because all throughout Manhattan are these massive banks, investment banks, financial banks, commercial banks, whatever you want to call them. They're, you know, those are the names you call them, rather. They're all located in that area. So that Blackstone building is a major investment bank. So we don't know if he's there because of NFL headquarters being there, and apparently he played football for some time, and maybe he has a gripe with the NFL, or if he's trying to make a political statement because Blackstone is there and he wants to make some type of political statement as far as capitalism, etc. We have no idea. Let's keep going. So as I explained to you guys that the officer was working what's called paid detail, here's somebody who's saying it. An off-duty officer working as security detail for a company at 345 Park Avenue was shot and killed by a man with a long gun who also shot at least one civilian before being found dead by self-ending on the 33rd floor. So they're saying that he ended himself and it was not police who did that. Rifle-toting New York City shooter kills 5, including NYPD officer, injures 6 before turning gun on himself at Blackstone/NFL headquarters, ladies and gentlemen. So apparently he ended himself. Let's T_Shane5 is what they're saying his Twitter is. So let's see if we can find that. Let's get that over here real quick. Get that out of the way so we can search that. Oh, my God. My word. My word, my word, my word. T. Oh, my word. All right. It's already been purged from Twitter. Didn't take them long to do that. Let me see if we maybe we need to. No, I think we may. Let's see. Shot in the dark. Nah, it's been purged. It's been purged. Let me try one more team. Yeah, it's been purged. So it has been purged. 3 posts, 32 followers, 43 following. Caesars Entertainment. So he worked in Las Vegas in the casinos. That's his page. And that's him with his homeboys at the casino. The shooters. Oh, and that's his Instagram. I was looking on the wrong platform. My apologies. So let's go to the Instagram. Bring this over here. See if we could search him up on the gram. All right. I think we might have some luck searching this guy up on Instagram. All right, got him. It's already private. Of course, he privated it. Let's try and follow him, see if we get access, but he privated that bad boy. So his page is still up, but it's private. Didn't take that long. I guess he knew what he was doing. So that's him, apparently. Big shout out to Kayla Renee. I finally caught her live. I love watching True Crime with Strategic. I've learned so much and enjoy your content. Thank you for sharing your expertise. Thank you for watching and support me, Kayla. You're 100% appreciated. David says, why do they purge social media? God knows, David. Big shout out to David and A Obsidian, both moderators in the chat, showing that love. We appreciate your help, keeping this chat nice and safe. Erica B in the building as well, another moderator. I think we got Aki in the building too. David and Bruster is in the building, longtime supporter of the show. We appreciate you, David, Philip and Bruster. Did I say David and Bruster? I'm sorry. Philip and Bruster, longtime supporter. We appreciate you, Philip. So here's a picture apparently of him, 33rd floor. Took care of business for us. Apparently, there was another active shooter. Miss King of Anything says there was an active shooter in Reno, Nevada today. 3 gone, 3 perished, she believes. Is it possible these things could be coordinated? That is possible. Jem Barogue says, thank you, Strategic, so much for everything you do. Thank you for watching me and supporting me as I try my best to bring you guys the news in a humane manner. Let's keep going, man. The more we scroll, the more that we find is happening here. Shane Tamura on the 33rd floor of 354 Park Avenue, Manhattan, following self-inflicted wound. Unbelievable. Tamura and his brother Terry Tamura attended Golden Valley High School, Santa Clara, California, where they were both track athletes, but brother Terry set more records than Shane, and Shane could not outrun the law that swiftly converged on him before he took himself out. Clever, but yeah, true. Let's keep going. That's something he posted. Download at Shane Tamura at Download Brother. Download Bro 1350. Let's look that up. Let's take a peek at that. Trying to catch it before they do the purge. You don't typically call yourself a Download Bro. It's a connotation to that. Down low bro 1350 purged. Somebody was able to screenshot it before it got purged, but it's purged. It's gone. I don't know why they purge these joints. I don't get it. Like, I understand why they do it, but I just don't agree with it, to be honest with you. Let's make sure we got everybody. Big shout out to Amanda Davis, who's a recruit member. Jem Barogue, who's a recruit member. Thank you for joining and supporting the family. Road Warrior, celebrating 1 month as a patrol member, says thank you for your sacrifice you make for us. Thank you for watching me and supporting my channel. I really appreciate you, Road Warrior. Let's keep going. Wealth Squad, Sen Pali says, I'll never give up on Terry Tamura and Shane. If anyone knows anything or lead, please bang my line. I will miss my dog. Been searching for years, still no word. I'm a tweet every day till someone leads me. I don't give a F. Even a retweet can help, please. Old boy needs us. So what's the deal? Like, was he like missing or something like that? He might have been suffering from some mental health illness or something like that. I'm not sure. Shane Tamura is the name of New York City shooter. Is a bit over an hour ago. This was posted on X. Can anyone explain why? I find it sickening. So Soul House Signal token, Shane Tamura, hashtag money shame. Did somebody make a coin for this guy? I don't know. The internet is weird. Running hard for good iron. This is 2015. All right, that's him right there. All right, let's see this. Witnesses recount panic during Shane Timmer's deadly rampage inside 345 Park. Witnesses the deadly shooting at 345 Park were in disbelief when they saw a gunman, Shane Tomorrow, open fire, and some were left barely controlling their panic. I was on the 1 block away, and I heard shots being fired, and then a bunch of police. They came to neutralize it, says 30-year-old Stupak, who was standing across from the skyscraper when the bullets started flying Monday evening. I went to the Citizen app and it says active shooting. A lot of police started to come. I mean, it's crazy, he told the Post. Another man who was apparently in the tower's lobby when 27-year-old gunman Shane Tomorrow walked in and started firing was left gasping for breath on a neighboring office building. Stoop as he called a loved one to tell them what happened. I was at work. The guy came in with an assault rifle, started shooting. I was in a lobby at work. The man said into the phone, he buried his face in his hands and he was gasped for breath and had a bandage on his knee and on a hand as a police officer attended to him. I don't know. Whatever. I don't like the way they wrote that. Maybe I just can't read. Or maybe I'm not in the mood to read today. Oh boy. All right, let's get back to the news. Let's see what's happening here.
Show his face.
Of just the massive police presence that was here at this building. And just about an hour ago, you were seeing people exit the building. Many looked relieved that they were able to leave. Still, many had to leave all their belongings inside while they were safely escorted out of the building. So now the question is, was there a motive? Who was this individual? Was this individual an employee at this building? Again, this is a massive building. It houses a lot of big companies. It's on 345 Park Avenue there in Midtown Manhattan between 51st and 52nd Street between Park and Lex. God. 44 stories is how big this building is. And according to law enforcement, the suspect went to the 33rd floor. Unclear if the suspect knew somebody on that level, but clearly had intention and knew where they were going. You can see law enforcement entering the building.
This officer that passed away is just a kid, man. He's a young officer. He's young. He just got on a job. He's a kid. He's just a kid, you know. A lot of these new officers, they work these side gigs so that they can afford to work and live in the city, you know. And so they work nonstop. They're getting tons of overtime because people don't want to be cops, so they're forced to do extra overtime shifts. And then when they're not working as a police officer for the city of New York, they're out there working these side jobs, these paid details where they work in uniform. Because he was in his uniform, he was a target for this guy. This is a child, all right, when it comes to policing. All right, not literally a child, all right, but we're talking about a very young person who just started out their career in policing, who has lost their life. I am not going to say this person's name. I'm not going to say their age either, but just know that they were a new officer to the police department in the city of New York, and they were pronounced at 7:23. 7:23, they were pronounced dead. And I want to give a moment of silence to this officer for their service. I want to give a moment of silence. I'm gonna be silent. All right. And well, thank you for your service, man. Thank you for your service. Rest in peace.
Officers were focused on this building here that houses some big companies: NFL, Blackstone Group, Bank of America, a gym, a parking garage. This is video from earlier this evening. People were told to shelter in place. Others were allowed to leave and forced to evacuate, actually. And officers just went from building to building. This is Midtown Manhattan. There's a lot of office buildings there. So some office buildings were forced to stay on lockdown, even though they weren't necessarily that particular office building. they were looking for, and also too, initially they were looking for any other devices that could be affiliated with this, possibly some incendiary devices that could be found on the premises, also potentially some sort of note, any evidence that would lead to some kind of motive to this shooting, again, happening at 345 Park Avenue between 51st and 52nd Street in the Bristol-Myers Squibb building, which is 44 stories. It's between Park and Lexington. Again, that is the suspect there that police are focusing on. And according to police reports, that suspect ended up killing himself in the building. That was after he shot 4 people, 2 civilians, 2 police officers. One of those police officers died of his injuries. Again, this is all happening in Midtown Manhattan right now. There are FBI crews, there are NYPD officers on scene, still trying to figure out how this happened, a motive behind this, and potentially any other evidence that might come out of this. Again, this is video from earlier this evening. You see NYPD there escorting people out of the building. You're also seeing some officers still with the yellow tape around the area. We're waiting on a press conference that's going to happen. We're hearing in the next hour or so with the mayor, Eric Adams, along with the NYPD, hopefully with some new information about what happened here this evening. I want to bring in a guest that we have who is Rodney Harrison, who spent 3 decades with NYPD. Rodney, thank you so much for being with us. I want to get your take on all this. Tell us what it would be like to investigate a situation like this that unfolded here this evening in Midtown Manhattan.
Yeah, so first and foremost, there's a lot of moving parts, and my condolences to the police officer that unfortunately paid the ultimate sacrifice. But going forward, the investigators are going to have to make sure preserve the crime scene. And there's multiple crime scenes that are involved with this incident. There's the one inside 345 Park Avenue on the 33rd floor. There's a crime scene from the vehicle where the assailant came from. Once you identify who this individual is and where he came from, did he come from a hotel? Is he a New Yorker? Then we have to go to their location and see if there's any evidence that's probative that could help out with the investigation. And what I mean by that is, was he working by himself? Is he a lone wolf, or was he working with others? What's the motive? I mean, there's a lot of moving parts here, but it starts with the preservation of the crime scenes and making sure they get as much information as intel that can help out with the investigation.
I can imagine in a building of this magnitude, that's a challenge. Not only do you have what happened on the first floor, according to witnesses, but also it looks like this suspect potentially knew where he was going. He went right up to the 33rd floor. So what does it take to secure a crime scene of this magnitude? We're talking 33 stories here.
Well, listen, it may not have to be all 33 stories. It all depends on what floors that did he go to. And once again, we have to look in his background. Did he happen to work inside the building with one of the multiple different establishments in there? But, this looked like there might have been like even I don't want to get too ahead of things here, but, was this a suicide mission? Was this something that he knew that he was going to take his life after he committed this violent attack? So there's a lot of work that needs to be done on the investigative end. Were there any notes involved? Did he, let somebody else know? Does he have somebody else that he's working with, or might have had a previous arrest history with that may know some of his thoughts or his mindset why he might have done this? And you take a look at the officers that were involved. They were doing what's called paid detail. This is like an off-duty type of work, doing security for a location that may be identified as sensitive or might have had a problematic history. So those officers were there protecting this location, and it's just an unfortunate and horrible incident.
It really is. As you said, those officers were doing their job, trying to protect the people that were inside that building. Just a moment ago, we saw video of officers really investigating that black car that looked like it was stopped in the middle of the road outside the building. All the doors were open. Can you walk me through, when you see that video there, sir, I'm not sure if you can see it, but them combing through the car, what are they looking for? And kind of walk me through the process there.
Well, the first thing, we want to make sure that there's no explosive device inside that vehicle. You know, unfortunately, too often we've seen incidents where an individual that does this type of violent attack will try to sabotage and try to hurt officers post the investigation. So we have to make sure that that vehicle is clear of that. Then we also have to understand, you know, what was behind this motive, and is there anything that could tell us something about this incident that's inside that vehicle. So once again, it's keeping that vehicle pristine and trying to recover whatever evidence that can help out with the investigation to make sure no other further incidents or other people are getting hurt from this situation continues to happen.
Now, when you think about the location that all this happened at, Midtown Manhattan, there's a camera on every city block. There's a camera outside every building, every entrance, every exit. How big a role are those cameras going to play in this?
So the cameras are going to play a major role. And if you just take a look at historical homicide investigations, Manhattan South usually is one of the leading boroughs when it comes to solving homicides, due to the fact of the technology, the cameras, and being able to identify a person involved. So those cameras are going to be extremely instrumental, you know, identifying where he might have started from and how he got to 345 Park Avenue. But, you know, they're going to go in reverse direction now and try to trace back every single video where this individual might have come from. And listen, he might not even came from New York City. He might have came from outside New York City to this location to commit this violent act. So once again, a lot more work needs to be done.
Yeah, I thought it was remarkable. Unfortunately, we covered other major crime scenes in Midtown Manhattan this year. It's remarkable to see how quickly NYPD is able to get information on a suspect, and a little bit more information that they're willing to share with the public at that moment. Can you give us an idea, though, of how the process works when something like this happens?
All right. I kind of agree with Jeffrey Epstein. This is the handle that somebody had, not the real Jeffrey Epstein. You setting me up, Jeffrey Epstein. There's a person chatting. That's why you shouldn't have names like that. But anyway, there's a person chatting in the chat named Jeffrey Epstein. And I agree with them, because somebody in the chat prior said that the reason why, because I said, I don't understand why they locked down these folks' accounts. And somebody, I think they responded to what I was saying. Maybe they weren't. It is what it is. I don't care. You know, we're all just having a conversation. They said, well, the media doesn't want to broadcast the people's who engage in this type of behaviors, names, and glorify it. So, you know, maybe it might encourage more people to do it. I guess that's what the person's trying to say. And Jeffrey Epstein made a really good point. Jeffrey said, the news makes no sense. They don't say the name or share the picture, but they stream high-profile, unalivened cases for the public to see. They're a bunch of obsolete hypocrites. Mainstream media is dead. And I agree 1,000%. You can't tell us who this guy is so we can figure out why he did what he did, but you could give us every single detail about Madeline Soto. And I'm not complaining, because I followed that case. We covered that case extensively on his channel, and I believe that everything should be available. That's my philosophy. I don't subscribe to the don't give information because it might motivate. That's not how I think. I think that people should have the right to know. When it happens to the public, when it happens in the public, when it is a heinous crime, then it's a crime against all of us, and we should have the right to know. I think all trials should be public, in my opinion. Except for civil trials, because civil trials are between two parties. But crimes are crimes against society, so all of those crimes should be public. That's what I think. But it's hypocritical, because we could talk about all these salacious things that are happening, but we don't want to talk about this stuff. That doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, let's keep going. This is my opinion. I could be wrong. There's no right or wrong way of thinking about this. It's just different perspectives and viewpoints on the same topic.
Between different law enforcement agencies, you have the NYPD, you have the FBI, actually you even have some members of the fire department as well. How do all of those... So Abraham Auric says, we don't mention their names so that younger susceptible individuals don't grow in admiration for them. They do anyway. That doesn't make sense.
If somebody is going to glorify these type of folks, they're going to do it anyway. And we're going to find out who they are. And these kids are so savvy, they're going to find the information anyway. So it still doesn't make sense. Like, I just don't respect when people try and act like people aren't sophisticated out here. You know, like, don't treat everybody like they're fourth graders, because nobody's acting like a fourth grader. Even fourth graders aren't acting like fourth graders. The world is available to your fingertips. This is not 1962. It's 2025. Information is available. And when you hide things, you motivate people to seek it out more. Rather than saying, this is what this person did, this is a bad person. I think that's a better deterrent than pretending like, we don't know who that person is. We're not going to, like it's Voldemort, like we're watching Harry Potter. That's the name that shall not be said. We spent the whole movie trying to figure out who Voldemort was, simply because he was the name who would not be said. When you tell little kids, don't say that name, they want to seek out the name even more. You're better off. What do? When we're trying to teach our children lessons, right? We bring them to the stove, we light the fire on the stove, and we say, you see that? That's hot, right? That hurts, right? Don't touch it because it's going to hurt you. That's what we do. We bring you to the danger and we say, this is dangerous. Don't play with it. We bring you to the knife and say, see, this is a knife. You see, knives are sharp. They hurt. They can cut you. Don't play with the knife. And that's how the child learns the lesson. We don't pretend like the knife doesn't exist. We don't pretend like the fire doesn't exist. That's not how you teach children. It's more effective if you say, this person did this to this amount of people and caused a great deal of pain and sorrow and hurt. You don't want to be like that person. Let's keep going, man. I mean, there's no wrong way of thinking about it. I'm not trying to come after Mr. Ulrich or Miss Ulrich. Not at all. All viewpoints and all opinions are accepted here on True Crime Strategic. We're just having a conversation. It's a little one-sided because I'm the host, obviously, and you're in the chat. But I do appreciate you for sharing your perspective, Abraham. It's actually a male. I do appreciate you for sharing your perspective, and please don't take it personally that I'm just using your comment to voice a larger opinion of mine. But let's keep going.
Go now to Richard Esposito. He's a former NYPD deputy commissioner and a CBS News law enforcement contributor. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
All right,
Richard,
he is not a cop. Somebody asked in the chat if he's a cop. He is not a cop. That is how Nevada gives out their concealed permit IDs. He is not a police officer. This is how they issue their IDs. All right, let me put it over here so nothing is obstructing it. This is how they issue their IDs. He's not law enforcement.
That's exactly what I thought when I saw it start to unfold.
Happening again, and just something that this is something that you have unfortunately had to deal with in your own career, but also watch unfold in just the past year or so. Big incidents like this, horrific incidents happening like this in Midtown Manhattan. When you're watching the officers go into action, what are you looking for? What are you seeing when we see video like this?
Well, you can see how they're going in. There's space between all the officers. They're moving carefully but quickly, and giving enough space so that if someone opens fire, they're spread out enough to make sure that he can't hit more than one person at a time. They're both heavily armed, they're armored, and it is a team that is going in to hunt for the perpetrator. And then you'll see other officers also have gone in to bring out the people who were huddling in the building. And you can, on your footage now, you're seeing some of the injured people that were coming out.
And, you know, when you talk about this building on 345 Park Avenue, I'm sure it's a building that you know very, very well, given its location, 51st and 52nd Streets. Between that, it's 44 stories. You know, when you're talking about a building of that size, this is complex. This is not the normal crime scene.
No, except in New York, there's preparation for this. There are packages that have been rehearsed and planned for all of the big buildings. To how do you handle a threat there in one of these buildings? The layouts are known, the setbacks are known, the security is known. there's very, very careful planning, and it's been built up over many years now. So while it's not your normal crime scene in the sense of, an apartment building, for the NYPD, it's something that they do train on. Other major departments, Los Angeles as well, they train on these scenarios with some regularity because we've seen them enough of them across the country to know you have to be ready.
Right. I don't know if we have I'm speaking to my director here for a moment. Can we pull up a picture of the suspect who police believe is the suspect in this? It's going to come up here in just a moment. I want to get your thoughts and your first observations when you see this picture of this individual that police believe is the suspect. He's calmly walking into this building with tennis shoes on, carrying what looks like an AR style weapon there. What sticks out to you, sir?
I mean, what really stands out is look how calm and poised the guy is as he's walking in. You don't know what's going on in his mind, but when you look at him, he's someone who's moving. He knows where he's going. That's the first thing I thought when I saw this picture.
And also, too, does anything about the weapon strike you, other than obviously it's an AR-15 style weapon, something you don't see people carrying around? Anything else about, what he's wearing or even the weapon itself?
When you look at how he's holding the weapon, and we later learned he has a permit to carry a concealed weapon in Las Vegas, and that's been confirmed by the Las Vegas. He carries it as if he knows what he's doing. And it is an assault rifle. It has, a large magazine and scope and possibly a silencer or suppressor on the barrel.
And you can see that from this picture already.
You can see it from that picture, and CBS has obtained pictures of the gun after it's been recovered by law enforcement, and I'm looking at one of those right now, which shows the weapon, the bloodied weapon, lying on the floor. It looks like.
Yeah, we saw it
and
here
also
first
too
on
what we
Counter
saw
Strategic.
after it was ruled that the building was safe and secure. Officers were diverting their attention to a black car that was parked outside the building, and it looked like it's possibly related to the crime scene, possibly the suspect. What do you make of how they are combing through that vehicle? What are they looking for?
So I really don't know anything about that particular vehicle, but the first thing you look for suspicious packages, you look for weapons, you look for anything related to the crime, any evidence you can find. That's after you make sure there's no one in there who might be working in concert with a gunman.
Y'all caught me picking my nose, sorry.
Technicians out there on the scene, bomb technicians went into the building to make sure there was nothing, no device left behind. And the reporting was there was nothing they had found as of now. They did a very thorough search of the floors that this person went on to.
What can you tell us a little bit about the procedure, too, in terms of keeping the other people who were not only in the building, but the surrounding buildings safe? We're hearing that some people were allowed to leave or were escorted out, and some people were told to shelter in place. Can you give us some kind of perspective on the thought process in terms of who gets to stay in the building, who is forced to stay in the building, who is allowed to leave? How do law enforcement officers determine that?
So look, I can't say specifically, but I will tell you the first thing they did was they put a perimeter up around this area. 2 blocks out from the building, a perimeter was formed. And in your footage, you can see the state police were involved. They have an office nearby. The governor's office is about 10 blocks from here. But first thing they did is they put a perimeter around it to make sure that no one else is at risk that's not already inside that perimeter. They then always advise people to shelter in place and then escort people out when it's safe to do so. For example, on the 33rd floor, there were reports of about 50 people who were sheltering in place, and then those people were brought out by one of the police response teams. And your footage is showing police approaching the building from all different sides. You see the armored police vehicle on the street. The bomb squad brought their vehicles in. So the judgment on who gets out is based on what they think is safe, or if someone is, or triage and someone is wounded and they need to get them out.
And you can imagine how terrifying it would be for the people that were not only in that building, but the surrounding building as well. You know, we're still hearing details about what actually happened, the chain of events that occurred. We do know that 4 people were shot. 2 of those were NYPD officers. 1 of them tragically died. 2 other civilians were injured. And we're hearing that the suspect managed to make it to the 33rd floor. Does that surprise you, sir, that the suspect was able to get that far, given as high profile of a building as this is and the massive businesses that it held?
Yeah, there's not that much security there.
Because he had a relationship with the building and with the tenants in the building. To the best of our knowledge, he appeared to be someone who worked. This is initial reporting. I want to stress that.
Okay.
But someone who appears to have worked in the real estate industry, someone who has worked with some of the tenants in this building. He knew where he was going. If all of this proves to be true, he walked in with that confident stride that we saw. He knew where he was going and what floors he wanted to go to. We don't know if he had any ID that allowed him in and out of the building as well. That
He had
we just
ID.
don't know yet.
He had a gun.
I'm sure police know that by now. We know he's a resident of Las Vegas, or at least has a home there. And police in New York are in touch with authorities in Las Vegas Metro PD and the sheriff's department there as well.
And sir, one more question. How long do you think this investigation is going to go on?
Until it's done. As
long as it takes.
You know, I can't tell. They've got to sort out motive if they can find that out. They've got to sort out where the weapon came from, when he got here. They'll walk their way through. It's a painstaking process and it'll take some time, but they'll have conclusions very quickly.
Richard Esposito, thank you so much for being with us and for your insight into all of this.
Thank you.
Well, if you're just joining us, we've been following what was an active shooter situation in Midtown Manhattan at 345 Park Avenue. What can we report right now is that at least 4 people have been shot, 2 police officers and 2 civilians. One of the officers has tragically died. We're still waiting for an update on the conditions of the others. We've also learned that the suspect killed himself. We're also learning CBS News has obtained new security camera images from the scene. Sources tell us the shooter walked into the building at 345 Park Avenue carrying what looks like an AR-style weapon by his side there. He then went to the 33rd floor and started shooting. FBI agents are now on scene, as well as NYPD, with the identity of the gunman and his motive still unknown. The NYPD is expected to hold a press conference tonight along with the mayor. We are standing by with the very latest developments on that. But now let's go to CBS News New York coverage of this developing story.
A weapon that would get people to actually engage in combat. So he went up there, he knew what he was doing, he hit only one specific floor, and I'm amazed that, you know what, he was still willing to do it, because if he had any sort of intelligence beforehand, you know, it's usually the same officers work the same details, or they constantly have NYPD working in an off-duty capacity, and that he was willing to engage with them like that. It shows, you know, that's just brazen. And that's something you don't see every day.
And talk about brazen and talk about something you don't see every day. This man walking in, apparently when he got out of his vehicle, he must have taken that long.
You know, I kind of disagree, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. You know, AR-15s are really good guns, and I think you do need an AR-15 for home defense. But, you know, listen, I'm not some gun nut. I do think that there should be some type of regulation on gun ownership, but we have a Second Amendment for a reason, people. You have a Second Amendment for a reason. Do not let the tyranny of evil people take away your rights. That's what they want. You know, they do evil things and then what? We give up our rights. No, we should not give up our rights. What we should do is we should be tougher on crime. That's what we should do, you know, but that's just my opinion. I don't want to lose my AR-15, which I don't have. I have a carbine, but I'm going to buy an AR-15 in the next couple of weeks. But anyway, bottom line is, this is our right, man. It's our right. And all across the country, we see instances where police do not get to these emergencies on time, and it's good guys with guns that end up saving the populace. But let's keep going.
Public address system? Did they have some sort of code that they could have put over the PA system, or an emergency text or something? You know, there's a lot of different companies that have all the
And
stuff
I
that-
think I do agree with the adventurous Toker 420. You don't need an AK-47 for home defense because it's a very reliable gun, but it's a whack gun. You definitely need an AR-15. Don't get that Russian crap. Get yourself an American AR-15. Let's keep going.
send you an immediate, it just usually, one thing is, when I see that type of firearm, I see the way he's walking, the way he's dressed, he's looking to blend in, but at the end of the day, you know what? He wasn't afraid to die. You know, ballistic vests are easy to purchase. You got used stuff out there with these heavy-duty ceramic plates that stops all this, high-powered firearms. It's easy, it's something easy to buy. The same way he had that large-capacity magazine in that gun, and it's out there.
Philippe.
The military carries handguns too. People say military-style weapons. They're not military-style.
Finally able to air some.
Every single service person has, a MP or a Glock or something like that on a sidearm on them. It's what you use it for. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. And this is the problem with the whole gun control thing, is that if you take all the guns away, the bad guys are still going to get guns. There's no way of taking guns out of America. Bad guys will still get guns, and now you'll have nobody else that has guns but the bad guys. We could debate this stuff forever. There's just some people who believe that nobody should have guns, and some people who believe that it should be your right to get it if you want it. I don't think that people should be forced to have guns. I just think that you should have the right to get it. And it is what it is. I go to the movies, I go to a restaurant, I have a gun on me all the time. And I'm the only one that has a gun most of the time because I live in New York, and I'm authorized to carry a weapon because I'm law enforcement. I just don't feel like I should be the only one that should be able to protect my family when something happens. There should have been other people in that building who had firearms who could have engaged this guy. That's just my opinion, but I could be wrong. I definitely don't have all the answers. I could be wrong, I just feel like people should be able to protect themselves. But let's keep going.
Response mode. The most important thing for you at that time is to get there, to make sure your officer is safe, and respond by any means necessary. There's times that I've jumped onto the back of an ambulance and held on when an officer was calling for help. And it's just the most important thing as a cop, to be there for one another. And you know what? You really want to save everybody else also, because that's part of our job. But when an officer goes down, your mindset goes different. It's automatic fight no matter what, and you got to get there. So, I feel for these poor officers that, in this trauma that they're going to have to live with. Those voices never leave your head.
Yeah, I was going to say, first of all, we did see Mayor Adams on the scene where he is likely being briefed at this hour. But Philippe, as former NYPD yourself, the phrase, you're always on the job. These two officers were working in a security capacity, so outside of the job, but on the job. And that feeling has to be going through everybody who is a former officer, who is an officer who may not be on duty, that at any single moment, something awful like this could happen, correct?
It does, but you put it in the back of your mind that every day you still go out there and answer those huge amount of radio calls that keep coming in, and you do your best to serve the public. But you know what? At the end of the day, these officers have responded. It is trauma. It's hard. But at the end of the day, you put that, the shield back on, you put your vest back on, and you go out and do your job. And we've been doing it for years.
Yeesh.
Philippe, how difficult is it, though,
man,
to hear the news that you lost one of your brothers and then continue to have to concentrate on the task at hand, to secure evidence, to ensure safety, and to make sure that no stone goes unturned?
It looks like the BMW right there. I think that's his BMW.
You still have to secure this crime scene. You still have to do a lot of different things. There's a lot that goes on with securing such a massive crime scene. You got to make sure you get every little bit of evidence, because you never know. What if there was someone out there who's actually assisting this individual? You want him brought to justice. Where did he get this gun from? That's going to be another situation where we have to call in ATF, do a gun trace. And that becomes the cornerstone sometimes for the investigation of how.
So the previous pundit said that he's received information that hasn't been released yet that This guy worked in this building, was involved in real estate. Blackstone is involved with real estate. Like, they're like one of the largest rental companies in the nation. They literally buy like single family homes and rent them. They're like one of the largest landlords in the country. They have this whole model where they'll buy up entire communities, like literally go and purchase each single family home. They're not building developments. They'll go to like impoverished communities and they'll literally just buy up a whole block. Like, go to the homeowners like, yo, here's 50,000, here's 100,000, let me buy your house, whatever. They buy that market, like you're selling to another individual, but you're selling to this company. And then they'll rent it out. And supposedly they do a lot of shady stuff. I don't know. I can't really verify that. You know, there's just a lot of people who feel that Blackstone is shady. Apparently, they're saying allegedly that he's involved in real estate and he had knowledge of this building and had been in this building before in some capacity. I don't know how, but that's what they're saying.
So we came to this side where people that were on lockdown were allowed to go back to wherever, to their homes. And so we were able to talk to several people here within the last half hour or so. Some of them said they were at dinner at a restaurant and they were locked into that building, but they said the NYPD did a good job. They felt safe. They told them, do not look out of the window, stay away from the windows. They told them to not look at their phones, at the news, because they don't know what's being reported. And eventually they were able to be let out and come back here. Ryan's just kind of showing you the scene from where we are right now, Dick. Again, still a heavy police presence, even though we have all that confirmed information at this hour. This investigation is far from over. But one thing I do want to mention, we also talked with one person who says he was inside 345 Park Avenue in the building where this incident took place. He was on the 15th floor. He did not want to be identified. And, he came up to us because he saw us talking to people. He was still shaking, and he asked us please not to show his face. He told us that all of a sudden he heard this loud sound and then followed by another loud sound. He thought it was like a collapse, like a building collapse. He said that's how much that sound was. He didn't even think it was, gunshots. And he said everyone was just like on lockdown. Again, looking at their phones and just kind of praying for a good outcome at that point because they had no idea what was happening. So he told us just about 10, 15 minutes ago.
So Beatrice in the building making some unconfirmed claims. Please do give us a source. We are interested in reporting the news, but we need a source for the claim. So I'm not going to read out what Beatrice said, but I would like to find out where's their source. It is what it is. Let's keep going.
And Gioni, which was right at 51st at the Hilton. So here you have two of the most concentrated areas of the city, and you have two shootings, one about 15 months ago, one today. I have a feeling it's going to change the mindset of New Yorkers, even New Yorkers who are hardened by what they've seen through the years.
Dick, what's interesting, there were a lot of people who came out, right, from after that lockdown happened, and a lot of people seem to have been in good spirits. A couple of people we talked with, I don't know that we have that sound for you just yet, but they were, I wouldn't say they were unfazed, but they were like in really good spirits. It's New York City. You see things happen. You don't think it happens here, but we're okay. It's New York City. It's the NYPD. So we still had that layer of comfort for some New Yorkers, believe it or not, and so that was one thing that we realized. Okay, hold on. Were you guys in the building? Were you? Oh, no, not the building. Okay, sorry. We just thought we saw somebody coming out of the building here, but we don't. You guys have sound you said you want to go to right now?
Homeboy just met his Tinder date. They put him on blast. Obi's not a CEO of some big company or something. We know how that worked out at the Coldplay concert.
Around you, and then you do start to see the sirens or hear the sirens. You start to see the lights, and you're just wow. But I will say, where we were very safe, I felt, and they did a great job of just telling us what was going on and what was happening outside.
So yeah, those folks that you heard from, those folks were not in 345. I think one of the woman was at a restaurant nearby, and then this building here, not too far away, that's where people were being eventually let out from as well. So it wasn't just that building that people were told to stay in place. It was several buildings in this area, and that is what we saw when we saw dozens and dozens, if not even close to 100 people eventually started making their way out. But Dick, to answer your question, yes, there's this fear in people's eyes we saw when we didn't know what was happening, and then a few hours hours later, there was a little bit of like relief and comfort from some of the people we talked with. But again, that one person who I know we will get to in a few minutes, that one person I talked with, he was shaking. He came up to my photographer, Ryan Lopez, and I, and he wanted to talk with us almost in a therapeutic way. And he was just still very shaken and just very happy to get out of this alive.
Absolutely. I can understand that feeling just by looking at some of the video that has been coming into our newsroom. Jen, thank you for that update from your location. It has been quite the evening here tonight in New York City. As the sun has now set over Midtown, we can tell you that the police presence has not, is still very heavy in and around this area as traffic, as the streets remain closed and the subways avoid stops in this area. It is a very sad night for the NYPD, who lost one of their own tonight to what appears to be a lone gunman. Who boldly and brazenly walked into a building on Park Avenue with a blazer, a button-down shirt, pants, and sneakers. Did not look suspicious other than what he was holding.
He had an AR-15 in his hand.
Coming with a gun.
And clearly, from all indications,
he looked suspicious. It don't matter what he was wearing. He had a gun.
He known where he was going. Went to the 33rd floor, and that is where at least one of the shootings took place. We do not know where the two officers were shot, but one of those officers gave his life tonight to help protect people in that building. Another officer was injured, and two civilians also shot. We saw so many police officers in some of the video that we've been airing, helping some of the people get out of that building, carrying some people that looked as though they may have been injured. We don't know how. Maybe they twisted an ankle trying to get out of the building. Others being so cooperative, holding up their hands. Obviously, listen, there's the injured man. He looks to be limping, but clearly holding up their hands, following instructions from the NYPD saying, evacuate safely, hold up your hands, because there is an active shooter, and we need to make sure we can identify who is the innocent people here, and who may not be. And who may not be.
You know what occurs to me, and it's certainly on a night where we salute our members of the NYPD when they're going through such a loss. We walk around this city all the time, and you see an NYPD vehicle virtually on every block, and that is unlike any other city in America and perhaps in the world. And I think as New Yorkers, we take for granted what they do for us. And isn't it the case that even when they went in a building, they encountered two members of the NYPD? Because the NYPD is always there. And as you point out, Christine, they weren't just there. They're not just there to protect, but they're to help after the fact. And they're going to help that poor guy who hurt himself and any imaginable people who are running away and might have gotten injured. And we get this sense of protection by the NYPD because they're out there every night. And usually they're on every single block in New York City. And tonight, it's just a pain for at least one family, but a huge...
You know, I don't want to talk politics, but it's tragic when you have politicians and mayoral candidates who talk about defunding institutions like the NYPD and you know, I'm not saying that any particular mayor candidate says FTP, but you know, some of these people have affiliations with these groups, and it's like, come on, you know, like, these are fellow citizens, your fellow brothers and sisters, your neighbors, your friends, your relatives who are putting on a uniform to go and serve the community. And the moment ish hit the fans, you expect them to give their life, and they do. Time and time again. And then when things are good and times are great, you know, you have the courage and the gumpcha to go out there and say F you to the police. But the moment that crazy man starts shooting with the AR, who are you asking to run into that building? Not these coward-ass politicians who tell you to hate your fellow cops. No, that's not who you ask to run in those buildings. It's those people with uniforms on, blue, black, green, whatever the color is across this country, who go in there and support and try and save lives. I'm tired of that, man. I'm tired of these coward politicians, these coward activists who constantly demonize police. But when it's time to die, they want us to fucking die. Why don't you put the fucking uniform on and go out there and risk your goddamn life for your community? You won't, because you're cowards. You're cowards.
You are noticing that the NYPD usually comes out and briefs when they pretty much start to get their facts in order, but it's been a few hours. We haven't heard from them. Perhaps they're still trying to run down certain leads that we don't know about. In the meantime, let's check in with Naveen Dhaliwal, who's been there for
I'm sorry I just spazzed, but we got a dead kid with a badge on right now who's sitting in a fucking hospital with holes in him because he sacrificed his life for ungrateful people. For ungrateful people. Now they're heroes. Oh, they're always out there protecting. Let some dude get punched in his face because he's too mouthy and watch how the tides change. Oh, they're all evil. They're all racist. They're all this. They're all Gestapo. They're all jackbooted thugs. We got a dead kid in a hospital right now with a badge on. That was a rookie. That was a little boy with a badge. He's dead because he had the courage to serve. Something all these yahoos out there who love to demonize police don't have the courage to do. People need to look in the mirror. They don't make men like they used to anymore.
On the run, this was an active shooter situation. And Dick, you had just said this before that, you know, this area had just experienced this about a little over 7.5 months ago with the CEO, with Luigi Mangione, where he wasn't caught for days. There was a manhunt. So here, when this happened, people don't know, where is this guy? Or are there other people involved? So there was that concern on the streets, as you can imagine. And of course, as the information is coming through, they don't know which streets are blocked off, which subways to get home from. So right now there is a little bit more of a sigh of relief knowing that the shooter is no longer on the streets of New York City, and people have been working or have been going.
We had a little snowflake in the chat. Eyeing into it says, "Oh, I get that you're passionate, but I can't take your yelling. Go fuck yourself. You're blocked. Never come back to my channel again. Screw you." Unbelievable. You have no idea why I'm passionate. You have no idea why I'm passionate. This is close to home. But then again, you're another one of those purple-haired cowards who love to scream at cops, but you don't have the courage to serve for yourself. Screw you, man.
At a standstill. Even though the crowds have thinned out, the area at a standstill. It is not, the perimeter has not decreased, it's actually increased. We were moved back during my previous live shot. So we have been standing here looking at counterterrorism, police, the FDNY. The canines have been out here as well. They've been sniffing some of the parked trucks. Contracting trucks, delivery trucks, there are restaurants here. So these trucks were already parked here when this perimeter went into place. But it seems from actually I'm looking at even New York State troopers are also here. You can see them in the gray. I thought are they the sheriff? I can't actually see with the lights going off. But we have been told that the police are expected to brief us at some point. And Dick, as you said, you know, we always want that information right away, but we also want the.
I'm about to get out of here because I'm about to start getting crazy, and I know I'm emotional and all that, but I can't stand these purple-haired demons, man. And not everybody with purple hair is a demon, but you know who I'm talking about. These purple-haired demons, man. I can't stand those people. I cannot stand those high and mighty purple-haired demons, man. They know who they are. Eileen, wherever she is, that's one of them. That's one of them. I'm telling you. The cowards, the ones who take, they're consumers. They just take, and they give nothing in return but complaints. They're never happy. They're all dysfunctional. I'm out of here soon because I'm going to get pissed off, and Aki is going to be like, strategic, stop it. It is what it is.
And one more time, we're looking at this photo of the gunman heading into 345 Park Avenue as if he's just on a stroll in the afternoon. And as we pointed out earlier, there's no one surrounding him, perhaps because when you see that gun, you run. But you can only imagine, as you pointed out earlier, Christine, what it was like when he went through those revolving doors and when people saw him with that gun. And where there is almost certainly likely some form of security, where somebody would at least check your badge. Maybe they don't have a gun to respond to that sort of a situation. But in an instant, they knew that there was real trouble inside that building.
Absolutely. And if you are unarmed, obviously you're not going to confront this person. We do not know what type of alarm system this building has inside. Usually these more modern buildings that house multiple large companies are pretty up to date when it comes to security. We cannot confirm if there was any sort of building-wide.
Building, and pretty much every building has some sort of evacuation protocol. We have them every 6 months or so. They used to call them fire drills, but now it's gone to another level. I mean, many buildings do train for a possible active shooter. I'm not sure many people listen carefully, but I think after seeing something like this, you'll think twice the next time you're getting a security briefing.
Absolutely. You will definitely be paying more attention after a night like this. So let's just review for our viewers that have been watching us on TV 1055 and also those that have been watching us on stream. It is a Monday night here in New York City, and at about 6:30 tonight, we started to hear reports of shots fired at 345 Park Avenue, which is the Bristol-Myers Squibb building. It also houses Bank of America, the Blackstone Group, KPMG, NFL. Those are some of the notable companies that have offices in this space. Immediately, we heard that one police officer was shot. There we see the mayor arriving at the scene. We're waiting for a news conference to take place. Once they have that set up, of course, we will bring that to you. But in the meantime, we were first hearing one NYPD officer was shot. We did learn later that it was actually two, unfortunately, and sadly, one of those officers did die tonight. Two civilians were also shot. We are told that one is in critical condition. We have seen video coming into our newsroom where we have seen police officers also just assisting people that look like that they had minor injuries, whether if they were just hurt trying to get out of the building or in a crowd, we don't know, but clearly police were there.
I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to take a little break, man. You know, I'm the one who got to go to this guy's funeral, man. I'm the one who's going to have to see his mother, his father, his girlfriend, if he has kids, crying. I'm tired of going to these funerals, man. I'm tired of it. You know what I mean? Funerals I've been, I still can't shake Moore and Rivera. I still can't shake Moore and Rivera. And if you don't know what that's about, go look it up. Go look up Moore and Rivera. Never forget. I'm the one that got to go to that funeral, not that purple-haired demon in the chat, man. I'm just going to get out of here. I'm not going to let these internet crazy people, you know, who hate police, but as soon as somebody step on their toe, bump their car, steal their latte, take their Amazon package, smacks them randomly on the street, they call us. When they can't decide what to go eat with their loved one, they call us. Oh, can you come here and figure out my life? They call us. And when it's opportune and it's in style and chic, they want to go ahead and demonize us. But the moment those bullets go flying, they call us. I'm out of here. I'm going to go take a break like Aki said, because this one's close to home. We covered this thing like crazy. Maybe we'll come back on when the mayor wants to give his statement, whatever. The news is just repeating itself. I'm not just going to stay online so we can just get views. That's not what we're about here on True Crime with Strategic. I'll see you guys a little bit later. Strategic is out of here. Peace.